Well, aloha and welcome to anybody that's out there in YouTube land. I'm Bob, and I'm here at the Bodhi Tree Hawaii Meditation Center tonight. And we're going to spend a few minutes sitting. We'll have a little chat. Maybe we'll move a little. And it's good to have you here. It's kind of an odd night. Normally, there are several people here. And tonight, I'm going to give you a little tour of the place because there's nobody here but us. So you can see here I am up there. Behind me is the altar that we see all the time. And you can see the meditation space we have with empty chairs. Go figure. And looking around, you can see all my equipment. And yes, more empty chairs. But never fear. We're going to continue on. I do have a couple of announcements tonight. Well, one in particular. If you live on Oahu, which perhaps you do and perhaps you don't, we'll be having a special celebration here at the Bodhi Tree on Sunday. It's honoring Parents' Day, and I'll probably pronounce this wrong, but it's Ulambana. It's a ceremony. And this is Sunday, August 30th. It'll start, according to the calendar I have here, at 9:30, paying homage to the Buddha, and seated meditation. At 10, we'll do some chanting. There'll be the ritual to celebrate our parents and the departed. Not that our parents are necessarily departed, but we honor all of our lineage, as it were. And then there'll be a Dharma talk. At 11, there'll be a wonderful meal here, a vegetarian meal. And I've been told it's going to be really, really good. And I'll promise you the food that's here is usually very, very good. And we'll hang out and chit-chat and have some fellowship. And about 1 o'clock, it'll wrap up. So I hope to see you there. Also, we'll be here again next week. So the other announcement is just because it's empty doesn't necessarily mean we aren't going to do this. I know I want to meditate. So one of the things we do is start with a few minutes of movement. So if you're at home, go ahead and take a nice comfortable standing position. You can also do this seated if you wish. We don't want you to stress or strain. Let our knees gently settle a little. Let our hip thrust forward, almost as if we're pouring water off the back of our hips. Let our shoulders drop. Go ahead and move a little and get comfortable. And just stand. Let your stomach drop. Let your chin go down a little. You can look at the floor, maybe 10, 12 feet in front of us, almost as if we have a string from the very top of our head up here. And just relax. Feel our connection with the earth. Just feel the energy flowing down through us. Resting. I keep my eyes open. My balance isn't terribly good if I'm standing, but we don't have to have them focused. Just gently down at the floor. And we'll start tonight very gently, just with a little shaking in our hands. Just letting out any tightness, any tension. I'm at a keyboard all day, so letting out some tension in my fingers is wonderful. Let it climb up our arms a little, letting our elbows go, And if you've got issues with your arm or shoulders or anything, just be very careful. If you can do it with one hand, do it with one hand. Do it with one arm. Let the other one be safe. And if we can, we move it up even a little further and start bringing it into our whole body, just allowing ourselves to shake. It's like we're on a bad rock and roll show on local somewhere in the 60s, doing the Frug or something. I don't even remember what that is. And yes, I was alive. Thank you. All right. Once we've shaken it out, let's come to a rest again. Just spend a moment exploring our body, seeing if it feels different, loosening our shoulders, and taking a nice big breath in, and yawning, if you like. Yes, it was a work day. All right. Next, just put our hands on our hips. What we're going to do is take a nice deep breath in. And as we exhale, move our head gently with the exhale all the way to the right, as far as you can go without pain, without hurting yourself. Take another deep breath in. And as we exhale, if it's comfortable, look over your shoulder and down to the ground. I can't do it, but that's the intent. And exhale completely. Take another deep breath in. And as we exhale, all the way to the left. Inhale, and as we exhale, look over our left shoulder. Hey, I can go a little further, and down to the ground. Exhaling completely. Take our breath in again. And yes, as we exhale, all the way to the right. And just do this a couple more times. To the left. And over the shoulder on the exhale. Inhale and to the right as we exhale. And as we exhale, just come to center. Allow ourselves to relax again. This time, we can take sort of a horse stance. Not completely if it's uncomfortable. We don't have to go too far. But our feet may be a little wider than our shoulders. And sitting down, just like we're riding a horse. We're going to take our hands. We're going to notch an arrow. And inhale as we do it. And then exhale. So as we inhale, we pull an arrow. And when we exhale, let it go. Inhale. We're looking at the aim. If you don't get it just right, don't worry. One more time on each side. And come to center. Bring your feet together and rest again. Okay. This time, their feet at our regular size. We can put our hands together. And what we're going to do is take a nice deep breath in. And as we exhale, this hand's going to go up with our hand flat, pressing against the sky, against the heavens. And this hand's going to push down. And see if we can feel almost as if there's a giant elastic band between the two. And inhale. And exhale. Looking up if you like. And inhale. And exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Come into this prayer position. Our hands around our heart space here. And just settle. And imagine a line of energy. A central meridian running from the tip of our head to the heavens, all the way down our spine, through our hips, all the way straight down to the center of the earth. This is our line of chi. And what we're going to do is inhale a little up and exhale. We're going to smooth that line of chi. Just allowing ourselves to feel it smoothing. If you don't feel it, that's okay. The movement's good. Inhale, a little higher. Exhale. Inhale a little higher. Exhale. Really sinking and resting. Smoothing that line as we breathe. Up as high over our head in a moment as we can without hurting ourselves. Just really smoothing and relaxing on the down. And now, as we get to the up again, the last time, stay there. Take our hands and shake. Let all that excess chi go. Let it rain down around us. Just settle for a moment now. And if you've been standing or sitting or even laying down, that's fine too. Let's, when we have the intention, move to our seats mindfully. And next, we're going to have about a 30-minute guided sit. So make yourself comfortable. We are allowed to move if we need to change our position during this, but I'm going to talk about that during the sitting. So find a place to, to be comfortable where we're not going to be too uncomfortable in the next few minutes. allowing ourselves to settle. If it's comfortable, close your eyes. If you've got a frog in your throat like I do, have a little sip of water. Settle into our position. And I always like to start with 3 or 4 deep breaths in through my nose, really filling my lungs, letting my breath go a little more slowly than I took it in. And if we'd like, go ahead and move, shake out any tightness you find. Just letting that breath do its work of taking away our thoughts and cares just for a moment. I promise they'll be back. Coming to a rest, just sitting and allowing ourselves to settle. As I was saying, just allow our awareness to settle into our heart space, into our body, just as we've allowed our body to settle into our cushion or our chair. Coming to a rest. Just stopping. And as we sit, we'll begin to notice all sorts of sensations of sitting arise. Our connection with the chair, our connection with our cushion. If we're in a chair, our feet connected to the floor. If we're on a cushion, our ankles, our sits bones. A slight breeze here and there. The sounds of birds and traffic. All arising, all at the same time. Nothing to fix. If you like, you might now find an anchor, a home spot, something that's easy to return to. This could be the sensation of sitting, being held, our connection with our cushion. Could be simply the sounds around us or our breath rising and falling in our abdomen or on our upper lip and nostrils. Let's spend a minute just becoming acquainted with this anchor, this home spot, allowing it to be the object of our meditation and interest, curiosity, and awareness. If we're distracted, we simply return. We begin again. We might even smile and thank ourselves that we noticed we were distracted. That is, after all, meditation, noticing. And once we are steady with our anchor, we can step back from it. Allow our awareness to expand. Our anchor is still present. And whatever arises and catches our interest, we allow that to be our object of meditation. Might be a sound, a flash in our visual field, a sensation in our body, a thought. We welcome them all, and whatever grabs our attention, we might note, hearing, or thinking, seeing, or feeling. We needn't describe what has arisen. We're just aware that it has. And we allow our curiosity to follow it until it leaves on its own or something else attracts our attention. And as always, if distracted, we return to our anchor and begin again. Just that simple. Allowing whatever is present to be present. We needn't chase away or cling. And with each arising, we might also notice right after contact a sense of pleasant or unpleasant or even neutral. These are not stories we tell ourselves. That comes after. This is just that momentary sensation of feeling pleasant, unpleasant. And as we track these objects of meditation, they might change. The sound that was pleasant may become unpleasant, all on its own, and then disappear. If you wish to continue meditating, noting what arises, and the Vedana, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, please continue. But we might also begin to notice subtle intentions that arise. The intent to breathe, or not. Bodies do it without any intervention on our part. Or an intention to chase away a thought, whether we do or not. If we need to move to relieve some tightness, we might notice the intent to do that before we move. Just allowing ourselves to be open and aware of all the intentions that arise. All our actions are preceded by intent, whether we're aware of them or not. So we might spend a little time intending to be aware of them. Once we become aware of at least some of these intentions that arise, we might investigate, how do they turn out? If we feel tightness in our body and an intention to move, when we move, does it release the tightness? Sometimes yes, sometimes not so much. Uncertainty in the outcome. In the last few minutes of our meditation, we might drop noting. We might drop exploring intention and simply step back. Allow awareness to expand and allow it all to arise at once. Sounds around us, visual patterns, feelings, thoughts, all in one place, our awareness. All now, all changing. Uncertain what will be next. In this open awareness, if we are distracted, we just note, hey, distracted. Smile. It's normal. Just allowing ourselves to be steady, present, open, nothing to fix. In a moment, I'll invite the bell to ring. We needn't hurry back. Just allow the sound of the bell to enter our awareness, along with the birds and the traffic and the sounds of this home, the sensations of our body and our thoughts, all here, all now, all welcome. Thank you for practicing with me tonight. Oh, so good to have you here. Thank you for coming. May I invite us, just since we don't know you, I've never met you before. I'm Bob. Sheena. Wonderful. Reuben. And Britt. I know Britt, but we might as well all get to know each other. And your friend? Trin is one of the residents here and kind of in charge of the place, but truly Zuzu's in charge as far as I can tell. Always welcome. So thank you for coming tonight. Um, I'm going to make the announcement now so I don't forget. If you're interested, there's a wonderful celebration happening this Sunday. It's, I'm not going, what is it called? Yeah, and whenever there's food here, you need to come. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't Trin who told me. It was actually the person who put all of this together. Said, "I'm coming." I can't. It's yeah. No, you're coming. But I'm busy on Sundays, and that doesn't matter. This Sunday you're coming. So I hope to see you here. So welcome again. You missed a little bit that we do on Wednesdays at the beginning, which is about 10 minutes of Qigong or movement, just so we can settle in. But I know you guys walked up the stairs, so we'll just count that as your movement for the evening. And then we do about a half-hour set. And then I talk for a while, or our co-teacher, Amy. The reason all the streaming stuff is up, normally there's also a TV here every other Wednesday now. We have another teacher who used to teach with me in person, and she's in Alaska now. And I said, well, you're going to Alaska, maybe we can stream you in. And it's actually worked out pretty well. It's kind of fun, but tonight it's just this, and we never put anybody on. We will have time for discussion later, but I shut all that down. So in case there's personal details that come out, we don't need the world to know about them. Unless you really want to, in which case you can borrow my camera and go do it on your own. I don't even do that. I did want to talk a little tonight, though. I just got back from retreat at Spirit Rock. I go every summer for several weeks, usually a meta retreat. And last time I talked, last week it was Amy. The time before that, I talked about what happens at a longer retreat. You know, what the day is like. You get up really early in the morning. Real briefly, I would get up about 4:30, go have coffee, and then I would go sit in the hall until breakfast was called. Well, we actually had a sangha sitting. Everybody would gather at 6:30 to 7. I'd be there already. Then they would go to breakfast, and I would do my yogi job because I don't generally eat breakfast. So I would sweep the courtyard. And then we would sit and walk and sit and walk and sit and walk and eat lunch. And then sit and walk and sit and walk and sit and walk until evening when there would be dinner, and then we'd have a Dhamma talk. So it's very, very regulated in a sense. And the idea of retreat is not like I'm going to a spa, right? It's not there. We didn't have a pool. We didn't have, they ask you not to, you turn your phones in for the most part, unless there's a medical need, like you have a tracker or something, in which case they would allow, well, they allow you to keep it. It's not like, well, you can't have your phone. But normally everyone turns their phone in. We don't read. There's no TVs. There's no computers, there's no internet, there's no cameras. Um, and so what happens is things get quiet, just in terms of what the world is going on. In fact, in many ways, it's even quieter than sitting here. It's kind of quiet, but we have traffic. At many retreat places, you will have traffic. They're not always in these quiet places. Spirit Rock happens to be. Um, and there isn't much to do. There's no distractions. So we are kind of alone with what's arising in our head. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Um, what arises in our head while we're there can be really interesting. But first, I want to talk about Spirit Rock and something. When we go, you usually agree to take at least 5 precepts, and I'm going to forget them. But the one I really want to talk about is the intent not to do harm. In other words, we do our best. It's totally impossible not to. I mean, like you're probably going to step on an ant without intent, and that's not really what we're trying to do. But basically, we use wise speech. We don't lie. We don't take what isn't offered. Uh, During retreat, we do not engage in sex, but the real precept would be not to engage in sexual harm. We don't want to harm anyone with sex. On retreat, it's just like, yeah, no, you're not here for that. So, yeah. Don't steal, don't lie, don't engage in sex. What else is there? If you remember the. Yeah, don't lie. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, it is an important, the one that I really want to focus on tonight, because it comes up in what I want to talk about, what goes through our mind, is the non-harming. Spirit Rock is located in Marin County in the hills on the coast. You can see the ocean from a high hill there. I like to tell everyone every year I climb the hill and I get enlightened. And everyone goes, yeah, that's really a dumb dad joke, really bad. I got enlightened. Anyway, the animals there know they're not going to be harmed for this acres of compound, the hills around it. Right, Suzu? Nobody's going to harm you here. Anyway, so you will see deer on the campus. You will see jackrabbits. You will see millions of lizards. You will see many, many birds, and they'll just fly up to your feet and start pecking around you because they know you're not going to kick them. Right? The only way that you could scare things there is like if you trip and make, like, oh, they're going to notice. So I saw deer, jackrabbits, rattlesnakes. They're there. Lots of lizards, lots of birds. You can't even imagine what else I've seen there. And they all know that they're not going to be harmed. And that's really a wonderful gift that can be given to them, right? When we talk about this idea of ethical behavior, sila, it isn't so much like moral rules. It's not a sin against the universe. It's not something that we're going to get punished for. In fact, often I think we think karma or kama, if we use the Pali version of it, is like this scorecard. And it's really not. It's just causes and conditions coming together. If we harm things, they suffer and we suffer because it's not good to harm things. We don't enjoy that really. Well, some people do, but causes and conditions. So the animals there are very calm. Now, combine that with the fact that everything is slowed down, and after several days, your mind becomes softer. Now, just going to retreat for 3 weeks doesn't mean you're not going to have thoughts racing through your mind. Sure, I get up in the morning, thoughts racing through my mind just like anywhere else. But you also get a lot more time just to be present. And you're meditating essentially the whole time, from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. So what I want to talk about actually is this idea of not actually knowing. That's why I brought uncertainty into this. What is going to arise, what we're going to think about, and what the consequences of a simple intent like non-harm might be. So if you go to Spirit Rock, there's a bench that's way above the compound. You have to climb a hill, and you can sit there and look over it all. And on the bench, it says anicca, which is the Pali term for everything changes all the time. Nothing stays the same, right? From every moment. When we were meditating tonight, was any one moment exactly like any other moment? Probably not. So I love that bench. I go sit on it all the time. But one of the animals, one of the creatures that lives there is a bug of some sort. It's technically not a bug. I remember I watched a video that explained insects, and this is not a bug. There are true bugs, and then there are other things that are arthropods that look like bugs that aren't bugs. We don't need to get into that. In the meditation hall, they have jars, and if you find a bug, you take the jar, you take it, you put a piece of paper in it, you take it outside. They also have ticks there. Ticks are the only things that you should remove. And in removing them, you'll probably kill them. And the idea, of course, is they do carry disease, Lyme disease and other things. And so you could get ill. So you are preserving yourself by removing it. Now, it doesn't mean you don't think about what you're doing. So the story I have, this sort of like how the mind works on retreat, I'd been there probably 3 or 4 days. And I go there regularly, fairly calm. I've been practicing a long time, so I can relax pretty quickly. And I walked up to the anicca bench, and I noticed on the weeds, I could see ticks. A couple of ticks. And on the trails, of course, sometimes there are weeds, and that's where a tick would want to be, right? Because an animal will pass by on a trail, and most of the trails there were probably game trails. We don't hunt, but some sort of wild animal would have probably made that trail first. And so I see this tick, and I start, well, I don't want to get bitten by a tick. Should I remove the tick? It's not on me, it's on the weed. But the weed is on the trail. And if you're not paying attention, you could brush by it, and you could get on the tick, and that would end the life of the tick if the person who noticed it went down and got the tweezers and the tick kit and the whole thing. So should I remove the weed? Should I remove the tick? What's the right thing to do? That tick has as much a right to be on that weed, on that trail, as I do. And so now all of a sudden, all of these things start to arise, right? When I'm here in Honolulu and I see something unpleasant, I probably won't kill it. Man, I'll brush it away without thinking about it, right? If there's a cockroach on my lanai, you're going over the edge. I'm not going to step on you. I'm kind of past that, but out. So I'm thinking, what will happen? Okay, so should I bend the weed back? But then it might snap back. So all of these things are going through my mind because I don't know what the outcome of any of this is. Now, my intent is non-harm. I don't want to harm the tick. I don't want the tick to harm anybody else, so I'm protecting them. I don't want the tick to harm me, so I'm protecting me. So in the end, I did pull the weed. Not all of it, just that bit of it. The weed will survive, but I've now damaged the weed. I've removed the tick a few feet, so it's no longer on the path. And I'm starting to think about the consequences of all this. Uncertainty, right? because we always think, oh my gosh, now, because I don't know about you, but there's that Western idea that now there's this scorecard of, oh my gosh, I've done something, instant karma is going to get me. Uh, it may seem like that sometimes. That isn't what karma is really all about, but I just had to laugh. So I thought I would talk about a sutta that really gets to the heart of this in many ways. Um, and I love trying to pronounce Pali words. It's the Mahakama Vibhanga Sutta. Mahakama Vibhanga, which is the longer discourse of deeds involving karma. And what happens is a fellow comes and talks to one of the disciples of the Buddha, and he says, I don't get it. I have seen people do really bad things, wrong things, terrible stuff. And essentially, they get good stuff. I have seen people do really good things and they get bad stuff, right? It's really in the idea of rebirth, because these are clairvoyants, these are, practitioners who are, and so they're actually sort of thinking about the rebirth, right? Like if you do bad things, and you don't need to believe in karmic rebirth, it usually is misunderstood, and I never know what to think about it anyway. You could think about it, we're always born anew in this moment. So if I do something bad, am I going to be reborn in this next moment with bad or good, right? So bad conduct, right? We kill, we steal, sexual misconduct, harsh, awful speech, wrong views, and we return in a bad place. Well, that seems about right. But bad conduct, and we do all of that stuff, we harm, we kill, we do sexual misconduct, we lie, and we come back in a good place. Or good conduct, we do good things. We're really nice to people. We practice metta, we practice dana, we're grateful. We come on Sundays to honor our parents and our ancestors and eat vegetarian food. And we get good stuff. We return, in a good rebirth. Or we do really good stuff and we end up returning in a bad place. And so they go and ask the Buddha. And he's really clear about this. The Buddha apparently, and of the 10, the 10 gifts the Buddha has, one of them is being able to see the life past, the karmic span of everybody. And he says, we can't know. Because I can know I'm the Buddha, right? I know because I'm, Tathagata, I'm that one. But these people are arhants. They're very well developed. They know a lot, but they don't see the whole karmic journey of this person. All the things that causes and condition. So we really can't know. So there I am trying to decide whether moving this tick is a good thing or a bad thing, or have I damned myself to a terrible rebirth because I've disturbed this tick? And I just thought it was interesting because that is the kind of chain of thought that I got into on retreat. And it wasn't super intellectual. It wasn't like I was sitting there, I wasn't paging through suttas to try and find it. I mean, I found this a couple of days ago and I was trying to think about what to talk about how the mind works on retreat. I'd read it before, and it really sort of applies though. I couldn't know in that moment what the outcome of that act would be on a grander scale than that moment. And what's really important in that moment though was I acted with good intent. I didn't want the tick to die. I didn't want any of us to get sick. Was it a good thing? I can't know. But it's my intent. And I know the Buddha talks a lot about intent, what we intend to do, and what whether it's a good intent or bad intent. So that's just kind of where I was on retreat. And I was just, because we've been talking a lot about retreats, Amy, the co-teacher, was on retreat. So I'm going to end my little talk with a poem by Jane Hirschfeld, who's a wonderful poet. And this sort of speaks to the unknowing when you intend for things to happen, or you have an intent and they may or may not go your way, you don't know. Ajahn Chah, if I pronounce this wrong, catch me. Ajahn Chah was a wonderful Thai forest monk, and his catchphrase for this was "mai ne," which is just uncertain. Did I come close, Trin? Yeah, mai ne. So if you're ever wondering and you're like, mai ne, I don't, it's uncertain. And we just get to live with uncertainty. And that was an example of living with uncertainty. So this is the promise. Stay, I said to the cut flowers. They bowed their heads lower. Stay, I said to the spider, who fled. Stay, leaf. It reddened, embarrassed for me and itself. Stay, I said to my body. It sat as a dog does, obedient for a moment, soon starting to tremble. Stay to the earth of riverine valley meadows, of fossiled escarpments, of limestone and sandstone. It looked back with a changing expression in silence. Stay, I said to my loves. Each answered, always. So thank you for listening, and thank you all for joining us. We get to stay if you want. But I'm going to end the stream now. So if you've been here with us, thank you so much. I hope to see you on Sunday as we celebrate, sort of honor our parents and the departed and eat really good food. And until next time, thank you for being here.